This video is for anyone who is feeling like they want to get rid of their dog and is wondering whether or not they should, and is being confronted with the reality that today getting rid of one's dog is tantamount to getting rid of one's child. That is how crazy it has become. When I was growing up, getting rid of your dog was no big deal. It certainly was not compared to getting rid of a human child, because back then it was understood that humans and dogs are not at all on the same level. Somehow, and I believe it's because of the rise of the pet industry, the fact that people realized they can make a lot of money by convincing people that dogs are equal to human children, and therefore require gourmet foods, sweaters, Halloween costumes, surveillance systems so you can see them from, when you're not home, food dispensers. I could go on and on and on. I made a video about the $70 billion per year pet industry. They are selling strollers for dogs, the most ridiculous items, even sex toys. So anyway, because people realized that there is the potential to make a lot of money by convincing people that dogs are worth more than they are, convincing people that dogs are something other than what they are, because the truth is, dogs are pea-brained, instinct-driven, remorseless, unloving, scavenging predators that have no conscience. And when I say they don't love you, they do not love you. People have been brainwashed into believing that the dog's food-seeking behaviors is love. It's not love at all, and I made a video about that as well. Please check out my other videos. But what I want to talk to you about is this pressure that is put upon us by our society to view dogs as children. They talk about dogs being family members, and so therefore, it is like it has become taboo to get rid of your dog. To even think of getting rid of your dog makes you a monster today, which is absolutely, totally ridiculous. Because if you just go online and you search, I hate my dog, I want to get rid of my dog, or something like that, you will come up with millions of hits, and you can read story after story after story of people who despise their dogs. Now, maybe you're watching this video because you are like me and your feelings for dogs changed dramatically after you got pregnant. This is very, very common. I made a video about that as well. It's called When New Mothers Start Hating Their Dogs. Check it out. Now, this is the instinct we have to protect. At least this is my theory. It's the only thing that makes sense because it is so common. I can only conclude that it is an instinct that takes over mothers to protect their children from the presence of disease-carrying predators that pose a very real risk to our offspring. And so I believe strongly that this is an instinct that takes over mothers. And to deny that instinct is the most, I can't even find the word. It is like so terrible. It is awful. To deny an instinct, it does not make you a good person to keep your dog, despite wanting to get it the hell out of your house. It does not make you a good person, all right? It makes you a coward. If you are going to listen to the opinions of other people and ignore your instincts, then you are a coward. You are someone who's afraid of what people are going to think, afraid of rejection, afraid of that. You're afraid. You're a coward. A truly brave person, a strong person, will listen to their own inner voice and do what their instincts are telling them to do, despite what anyone else may think. When I became pregnant, and shortly after the birth of my son, the dog we had that I used to love, she became intolerable. I could not stand this animal. And not only because of her smell, but because of her behaviors, her licking, her noises, the vomiting, the shit, everything, the hairs, the dander, the slobber, the way she would stare at me, everything drove me bananas, and it was affecting the quality of my life. I was very upset. I was emotionally upset because of this animal, and that feeling of being emotionally upset, that affected my family. No, when you're upset, people around you, they can sense that it affects their quality of life. By keeping a creature in your house that drives you insane, that stresses you out, that is taking away from the lives of your loved ones, from your family members. It is diminishing their quality of life. It is taking away from the time you get to spend with your kids or your family. And I'm gonna think about mothers here and talk about mothers. If you have children in your house, first of all, comparing your children to a dog is disgusting. I have heard parents, mothers, speak about their dogs. They'll be talking to their kids about their dog, and they'll say your brother or your sister, as if the dog is a sibling. That is vile. That is absolutely repulsive, to put your child, your amazing child that has the ability to grow up and build bridges and buildings and roads. Driving by some construction the other day, and I was thinking to myself, a dog is not going to fix a road. It's not going to maintain infrastructure. There are people out there who firmly believe that dogs are better than humans, or that it's acceptable to replace human children with dogs. Tell me, if you're going to replace human children with dogs, who is going to build roads in 30 years? Who's going to repair the potholes? Who's going to run the hospitals and the pharmacies and the stores and the grocery stores? Who's going to grow your food? Who's going to replace your pacemaker? It's not a greyhound or a pit bull, okay? Dogs are not going to do anything for humans. And so what is more valuable? People are putting these amazing humans, and yes, humans do shitty things, but we do the most incredible things. I am right now reading a book by Steven Pinker. It is a book called The Better Angels of Our Nature. And in this book, he talks about how we as a species have become less violent with each generation. Compared to our ancestors, we are far less barbaric today than we used to be. And this doesn't seem like the case, because we're always hearing about the horrible things going on in the news and so forth. And, media just seems to want to report the bloodiest, most awful stories. But the truth is, we are evolving. And we are becoming a lot more kind and compassionate with each generation. And, it's giving me hope that we can continue along on this trajectory and become even more evolved and more enlightened than we are today. I don't believe it's too late for us. We just need to wake up, and we need to, realize how amazing we are in our ability to create music, to compose music that can make you cry. It's amazing. To write stories, literature, to create films. We are capable of so many incredible things. And what are dogs ever going to do? They're not going to do anything. So this really makes me question people's sanity. Why can't people see this? Is it something in the water? What has happened? Is there some sort of undiscovered pathogen that's affecting these people's brains that is somehow it's eliminated by the body or something when a woman becomes pregnant? In a lot of cases, when I got pregnant, a veil was lifted from my eyes and I saw dogs for what they truly are. Today, I can't imagine how it was possible for me to not see my dog for what she was. And I see dogs for what they are now. And if you can see a dog for what it is, which is an unpredictable predator. Now, this is something that is so impossible for most people to accept, but it is the truth. It flies in the face of what society has been telling you. And so that is why you reject it, because your core belief, based on all of the things you have heard throughout your entire life, from the time you were watching cartoons as a child, probably from the time before you could walk, you have been programmed to believe that dogs are loyal, loving, pure, innocent animals. So someone comes along and shows you evidence that they are not these things. You need to reject that evidence. I made a video about core beliefs, cognitive dissonance. Please check out that video if you haven't seen it. This is what happens. So people, they become so threatened by this new information that they need to attack the messenger and so on and so forth and reject the evidence. But the truth is, dogs can and may very well attack your child because you turned your back for 2 seconds. What parent can possibly watch their child every moment of the day? You look at these articles about children being attacked by dogs. It's usually the most severe injuries are perpetrated by pit bull type dogs. You just read the comments. There'll be people posting pictures of their dogs in the comments, going on and on in a totally sociopathic manner about how you cannot judge an entire breed. They're only concerned about the breed of dog, not the child that was, disfigured or killed. But they reject evidence. And anyway, I'm going way off topic. The point is that these dogs were, in most cases, family dogs, right? That were raised with love, never mistreated, and still launched an unprovoked attack. In some cases, the child was doing absolutely nothing, was just sitting in his or her car seat or lying on the bed, playing with their toys, whatever, and the dog, because it is an unpredictable predator with a prey drive, and pit bull type dogs have a higher than normal prey drive. It sees the child as prey or as competition for food. People have been taught through commercials, books, stories, films, social media now is a huge one, memes. We are being bombarded with the message that dogs are family and that they are like humans. There is a great danger in humanizing animals this way, and I talked about that in my video about the dangers of anthropomorphizing animals. We are not seeing dogs for what they are. And as a result, 77 people per day in America alone require reconstructive surgery because of dog bites. And about half of these are children. 77 per day, and still you have dog lovers insisting that this is not a big problem. It is a severe mental illness that we are dealing with here. And I mean severe. I have people who want to kill my children because I am telling the truth about dogs, which they cannot handle because it is in conflict with their core beliefs, which they hold so dear. And this is something that needs to change. People need to wake up and they need to see dogs for what they are. Animal lover is actually code for dog lover. And most animal lovers only love cats and dogs and maybe a few other animals, but they don't love animals. They don't care at all about the turkeys, chicken, fish, sheep, pigs, cows, and other very sensitive animals. Even fish are extremely sensitive. They would not care. They don't even think twice about torturing fish for fun, not even for food, just for fun, because they like to reel it in. They don't care about the hook going through its face, but they wouldn't ever consider baiting a hamster, because that would be animal cruelty. That would make them a psychopath. If their children were actually baiting gerbils, they would bring their child to a psychiatrist and fear that their child was a serial killer in the making. Yet, they will encourage their child to do the very same thing to a fish. They suffer a lot. They feel pain. The parents, do they care? No, they encourage this behavior. They teach their children how to do it. Do you see the craziness? How utterly insane our culture is. So when you feel that you want to get rid of your dog for whatever reason, maybe you're not a new mother, maybe you just have come to realize that you have been lied to by this massive pet industry, $70 billion per year pet industry. Do you think they're going to tell you the truth about dogs? Do you think they're going to portray dogs in a realistic light? No, of course not, because they want your money. That's all they want. They don't care about a dog's well-being. To take a creature out of its natural environment, away from members of its own species, and thrust it into a world where it doesn't understand the language or the customs of those it is living with, that's cruel. And to deprive it of its natural behaviors and instincts is very cruel and wrong. I was just watching someone walking their dog down the street the other day with a leash, and I saw with eyes open like how wrong it is to put a leash on another animal and walk down the street with a smile on your face is ridiculous. It is just taking an animal and using it for your pleasure as a little slave, a little thing you can control. And to celebrate this and to put this creature on the same level as a human child does not make you a good person. So when you're thinking of getting rid of your dog, and maybe you've voiced that desire to someone, and maybe people are making you feel bad about it, if you go online, you can see this all over the place where people are attacked and made to feel like terrible monsters for wanting to get rid of their dogs. You are not at all a bad person for wanting to get rid of your dog. In fact, the people who are comparing your dog to a human child, those are the bad people. Those are the immoral embarrassments to our species. These are the people who are responsible for the state the world is in right now. The reason why the world is going to shit is because people are not raising their children with the commitment and the passion that they ought to have. We have to realize that children are the ones that are going to maintain our civilization. We have come such a long way. We have done so many amazing things. And to want to just throw that all away is something that I just cannot understand. When you take a dog and plunk it into a new home, it's going to adjust in a matter of days to weeks. A couple months maximum is what it takes for a dog to fully adjust to a new home. When you take a child out of their home and put them into a new home, that child is going to have lifelong negative psychological problems. It's going to impact them emotionally and psychologically, and they're going to be traumatized for life because of that event. Do you see how incomparable dogs and humans are? A human being has so much more potential, and it has the ability to love. Why is it traumatic for a child to be taken out of his or her home? Because they have the capacity to love their family members. Dogs don't. These people who are going to judge you negatively for wanting to get rid of your dog are sheep. They are brainless zombies who cannot think for themselves, who lack the ability to think rationally and critically and rely on others to form opinions for them because they are so weak-minded. And it's really unbelievable that they form their opinions not through a process of critical thinking, but through watching commercials and looking at billboards and looking at the internet and looking at memes. And, well, what is my neighbor thinking? What are my friends thinking? Well, that must be the way to go, so that will be the belief I will adopt. And they do this to fit in because their fear of not fitting in is actually greater than their fear of death. This is a fact. It's like an instinct we have, a very primal instinct to not be ejected from our tribe, because if you don't fit into your tribe, well, you're going to be cast out and you're going to die. So for the majority of our evolution, conformity was very important. It was a question of survival. But today, it doesn't matter if you disagree with your neighbors or your community. No one's going to kick you out. They may not talk to you anymore, but you're still going to be able to go to the grocery store and buy your food. We're living in a different time where now it is okay to disagree with people and to voice your own opinion and to stand out from the crowd. It is an act of bravery to do that. It is great to do that. It is great to get rid of your dog. Not only was my house a much cleaner, better smelling, more hygienic environment after the dog was gone, I felt great in knowing that my children were not at risk of being bitten or worse, or acquiring a parasitic infection or a bacterial infection. Just knowing that my home was a safe place for my children, it gave me a feeling of being a good mother. I understood that a dog is a risk. Having a dog in the home with young children is tantamount to child endangerment. It is child endangerment. I just cannot stress enough how much better my life is, our lives are, since getting rid of that filthy dog. I have so much more time and energy to focus on my children. And in turn, they are growing into amazing people because they know they are my number one priority. And they know that they are not being put on the same level as a shit-eating, child-mauling predator. Because doing that is the ultimate insult to our children. They need to know. They need to know that they are superior to a scavenging predator. I can't believe I even need to say these words to you people. And until we change our attitudes and realize that human children are infinitely more valuable than dogs, until we change that belief, things are not going to get better in our society. They are only going to get worse. Now, we need human beings to survive, but we do not need dogs in our communities at all. People may quit talking to you. You may lose friends, but these are not good friends to begin with. The people you want to have in your life are interesting people with strong personalities who are able to think for themselves and stand up to authority and make their own decisions based on logic and reason. We used to be barbaric in the past. And through this book I'm reading, I understand that we are getting a lot less violent. We used to be very cruel to animals. And it's as if the pendulum has swung in the opposite direction, where we're becoming more concerned with animal welfare, but it has swung too far in terms of the way we think about dogs. And it needs to return to a place, it needs to come to a place where reason and logic can prevail, and where we can recognize that unnecessary cruelty to animals is wrong, but in some cases it is necessary to cull populations of animals that pose a risk to human health and safety. That is something people need to recognize. Our species comes first because without other human beings, we do not survive. We need other humans to survive. We have amazing abilities, and we are miraculous. We can turn things around for the planet. I don't believe it's too late. But we need to first come from a place of sanity, where we are no longer in denial about the true nature of dogs, how unpredictable and potentially dangerous they are. And that's the key word, potentially. Not all dogs will attack, but you never know which ones will. It is a game of Russian roulette. It has nothing to do with how the dog is raised. I covered that in a few of my videos. It is the dog itself. It is a predator. And you cannot train or love instincts out of a dog. If you're thinking of getting rid of your dog, know that doing so is doing the best thing for not only yourself and your family, but for your community. You are no longer going to be putting the community at risk of acquiring parasitic disease through your dog's leftover bits of feces. Even after you pick it up, there will be traces left behind. The urine, the all of your dog's waste that is contributing to so much water pollution. Please watch my videos. I made a video about the dog waste problem. Please check that out. It is not only going to benefit your life, getting rid of your dog is going to benefit the lives of everyone in your community. It's going to eliminate any noise pollution your dog was creating, which negatively affects the health of your neighbors. There are no negatives in getting rid of a dog. Only positives. You'll have more time to share with your family and friends. You know, I talked a lot about having more time to share with your kids. Of course, that is very important. But even if you have no kids, you're going to have more time to share with human beings who, unlike dogs, have the capacity to feel love and to appreciate the love that you are extending to them. You know, so go extend your love to humans. It's so much more rewarding anyways, because that human can actually respond to your love and, you know, share an actual bond with you that isn't imaginary. The affection that you shower onto dogs is the same as the affection showered onto a teddy bear. So understand that it is doing good, not bad. Ignore the people who are trying to make you feel bad. They are deluded. They have been brainwashed by the pet industry. And they are not the types of people you want to have as friends anyway. I don't know about you, but I like to have quality over quantity. And the friends I do have are the most amazing people. They are able to think critically, and we're able to have amazing discussions. We don't talk about other people, we don't gossip, we don't talk about the weather or about famous people, celebrities. We talk about ideas. We share, ideas with one another. I really think that most people are just interacting and connecting on a level that's so superficial. Open your minds up. Talk about higher things, more interesting things. Share ideas. Think about stuff. Form opinions. Let me hear you make decisions without your televisions. Let me hear. Okay, so yeah, I like Depeche Mode. Guys, get rid of those people. These people are just brainless. Blech. You don't need people like that in your life. Find more strong personalities to connect with. They're the best people. There are a lot of people out there who see dogs for what they are. And as channels like mine grow, and as more and more people find the courage to speak out, these people are going to come out of the woodwork in increasing numbers, and you're going to see. I believe the pendulum is going to swing back to a place of sanity. This trend of putting dogs on the same level as humans is so ridiculous that it cannot last. But if you need someone to tell you that it is okay to get rid of your dog, I am that person. I am here to tell you it is not only okay to get rid of your dog, it is fantastic to get rid of your dog. Fantastic for everyone involved, and even for the dog. Look, what we did, we didn't bring our dog, we didn't abandon it on some rural isolated road like a lot of people do now because of the rise of no-kill shelters that turn animals away because they're full. So what's happening is that people are going out and just abandoning their dogs and cats and just condemning them to a very slow, ridiculously torturous death. See my video about the insanity of no-kill shelters. No, we didn't do that, but we found a family that wanted her, and that they were willing and able to give her a better life than we could. If you're gonna, even for people who love dogs, you should be encouraging people to get rid of their dogs if they want to get rid of their dogs, because if you love dogs, then you should care about the way the dog feels every day in a home where it knows that it is hated and no one likes it and no one's paying attention to it. The dog is suffering. Wouldn't it be better off in a home with someone that actually wanted it? Like in our case, we found a family that really wanted it and that were prepared to give it a lot more attention than we were giving it. So if you love dogs, isn't that a great thing we did? Therefore, by giving that dog to that new family, of course it is. Because, like I said, dogs only require a couple months maximum to adjust to a new family, and some dogs adjust immediately to a new family. Immediately, right? You'll never find a human child adjust immediately to a new home. How is the dog being harmed at all? It isn't. In fact, it is enjoying a better quality of life with a new family. So it's totally irrational for dog lovers to judge or vilify anyone who wants to give their dog to another family, if that other family is going to provide it with a good home, because they're doing the dog a favor, actually. So try to find the dog a home where it will be, appreciated. And in that way, no one can judge you negatively. You're doing a great thing for the dog. And you are not a bad person for having instincts or for simply having the ability to see clearly without a veil over your eyes. If you are someone that has undone the programming, the brainwash that you were under, kudos to you, because that makes you a strong-willed person. Actually, I'm not even sure what it is that makes a person capable of undoing that mind control. I often wonder about this. Please share your thoughts in the description. I'm curious to read what you think. How is it that some people snap out of it while others don't or can't, it seems? But there's nothing wrong with seeing dogs for what they are, for wanting to do the best thing for yourself. If the dog is driving you crazy, and it is, dogs are driving millions of people crazy, to want to rid your life of that unnecessary stress is fine. It is great. It is not like getting rid of a child. Quit making that comparison. And when people make that comparison, call them out on it. Tell them how ridiculous it is to compare the two. Dogs and humans are not alike at all. And reference my videos about how dogs do not love, about how it is not possible for them to love because they lack the ability to feel remorse or guilt. You need to feel that before you can love someone. It is okay to get rid of your dog. Go get rid of it. And feel no shame. Get rid of the people who judge you. You do not need those people in your life. Open yourselves up to new friendships. We have a cool little group, Canine Aversion, closed Facebook group. Come and join us. Go on to Dog Free Reddit. There are a number of Facebook groups and pages dedicated to hating dogs. I don't know why this particular page doesn't have more followers. The person who runs this page is doing such an amazing job, posting almost daily, if not daily, and informing us of all of the dog attacks, the daily dog attacks, and various reasons why dogs are a menace to society. You'll find like-minded people there, and I'm sure if you just speak up and let your voice be heard and let people know what you think about dogs, you're going to find other people who will agree with you, people who are probably too afraid to speak out. I have come across so many people who have told me that I have given them the courage to finally speak up and be honest about their feelings regarding dogs. Because most people who don't like dogs will not admit that they don't like dogs. But if you are an example and show them that it is possible to speak out, they're going to feel more empowered, and they're going to speak up as well. There are a lot of us out there, and don't feel ashamed. Don't let anyone ever make you feel bad for 1 second about getting rid of your dog. Go out there and do the right thing. You know what you have to do. Get rid of the thing. You are ahead of your time. The future is dog free.